Hey, welcome back to Mocktails with Marina. I'm your host, Marina, and I want to welcome you to episode 1 of the Department in a Box series. This is a 6-part walkthrough of the main departments your non-alcoholic bar, bottle shop, or third space, whether that's an event space or beyond, needs in order to function without chaos, burnout, or constant reactivity. This is especially going to be helpful for any of you who are looking to build a long-term business that doesn't have massive staff turnover, that does have a major regular base, and quite frankly, keeps you happy and passionate while you're running it. So today's episode is all about project management and the to-dos, but not in the here's what button to click sense. I want to zoom out and talk about the importance of this department, why it matters, why most people skip it, and why skipping it is usually the silent reason their business never gets out of survival mode. If you want to learn how to build these systems, including the templates my clients use, the exact Notion setup, and the full Department in a Box frameworks, the link is waiting for you in the episode summary, and you can get instant access today. Okay, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about what project management actually is. Project management gets treated like an optional extra, like a nice to have once everything else is smooth. There are so many people who get stuck on pen to paper. They keep every piece of information in their brain, and they can't understand why people aren't following through, why their team isn't getting things done, or if they don't quite yet have employees, they don't understand why they don't feel like there's some sort of traction being made. But here's the truth. If you want a business that doesn't depend on your memory, your adrenaline, or your constant presence to run, project management quite literally is the business. Project management is the container that holds every moving piece of your work. This is your reopening plan, your menu development, your hiring timelines, your brand build, your collaborations, your events, your onboarding, your expansions, your remodels, your content schedule, the small upgrades that you keep meaning to do, the million things that you've said, I'll get to it later for about 6 months or more. Project management is the invisible discipline that quietly determines whether you're building a business or you're just babysitting one. And this is where so many founders in the non-alc and kava industry get stuck. Not because they're unmotivated, but because they're trying to run an entire company from their head or their own personal notebooks, and they refuse to build the muscle memory of creating an actual project management software that works for both them and their team. Quite simply, you cannot scale what you cannot remember. Here's why to-do lists matter way more than you think. Because I know there's a lot of people who are a little bit more cerebral, or they kind of they feel like the to-do list is so big that they just have to take action before sitting down and planning the action, right? So to-do lists do sound basic, but in a service-based business, especially ones rooted in community, emotion, multi-ingredient products, like your to-dos are the difference between momentum and building, scaling, growing, and maintenance. Most people use to-dos like some sort of sticky note pile. They just jot down whatever they need to do in the moment just to get by. But a real operational to-do system does something very different. It makes your business predictable, trackable, repeatable, delegatable. If your to-do system isn't any of those things, you're not managing a business. You are managing fires. And quite frankly, those fires, if you're dealing with real people, you are setting people on fire. Now, maybe not literally, but mentally, you're burning them out. Mentally, you're making them cry, even if they don't show you those tears, right? Because they still need their paycheck. They love the business, they love the industry, but they're triggered because they're consistent reminders of what to do, or their consistent expectations of what you think they should be doing aren't lining up in reality. Businesses don't fall apart because of big failures. They tend to fall apart because of tiny forgotten tasks that then stack up like dust and cause resentment. So not only are things not getting done, but you don't feel good, your team doesn't feel good, and your community picks up on that, right? So maybe there was an order that didn't get placed, or a follow-up that wasn't sent, or it was sent too late. The equipment maintenance maybe got pushed and then it broke one of your pieces of equipment. Maybe you didn't get a permit. Maybe there was just a small decision that no one made that turned into something bigger. Maybe there's an overdue idea sitting in someone's head instead of in the system, so you missed out on an incredible holiday deal. Those minor tasks are your operational heartbeat. This is your SOPs in motion. This is literally the log of everything that you do. So when you don't track them, the heartbeat becomes irregular. Suddenly you're overwhelmed, behind schedule, questioning your capacity, even though nothing was technically hard. A solid to-do system protects your energy, protects your team, protects your investments, and protects the future that you're building. And the last thing I want to say here is to-do lists reflect your processes, right? So if you have a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly process that you're reinventing every single time because you never wrote it down, and I'm not just saying in an SOP, but I'm saying because the SOP itself is the instruction guide. So if we think about your business as a Lego, your SOPs are just the how to put it together, but that doesn't mean that the Lego set is being put together, right? The to-do item is the instruction on each page, following through with it, putting it on a timeline and saying, this Lego will be complete. We'll have a full car. We'll have a full little plant ready to put on the shelf or to play with by this date, right? That is a very big and significant difference. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here, which is the real reason that project management feels heavy, right? So project management can feel overwhelming, especially in an industry that's very fast, new, emotional, creative, and still defining itself. And especially if you're also sober or newly sober, trying to navigate not only entrepreneurship, but a new emerging industry. Like that is life on hard mode in some ways, but it doesn't have to be, because overwhelm does not come from the system. It comes from the absence of having a system. Think about it. You don't get overwhelmed by the tasks that you finished. You get overwhelmed by the tasks that you're holding. Project management gives you a place to put things so they stop living rent-free in your head. It lets you see the real size of your business instead of the blurry, emotional version that you're reacting to. And it lets you show up as a leader, not a firefighter. Stop feeling like you need to be so heroic, because who are you really trying to save other than yourself, even though you are drowning? Real leaders have clarity. Leaders know what's happening today, tomorrow, and the next month. Leaders are not constantly surprised by their own business, and they're not constantly blaming other people for things not getting done. When you have a project management system, you stop running your business off of vibes and memory, and you start running it off of structure and intention. And that's when scaling becomes possible. So, there's a reason I wanted this to be the first department that we talked about in this series. And if you're wondering why project management comes before things like operations, marketing, or menu development, listen closely. It's because everything else sits on top of this. If I'm building a new business, if we're helping someone set up a new business, the number one first thing we do is set up project management. Not an employee manual, not the menu, not a Pinterest board on what we want a place to look like. It starts with project management, because without it, your operations are scattered, your marketing is inconsistent, your menu launches are late, your team is confused, your events flop, your expansions plans will all stall, and your vision feels way bigger than your capacity. But with project management, suddenly everything becomes lighter. You know where to put ideas. You know how to track momentum. You know what needs to happen and who's responsible for making it happen. You can also check on things before the ball fully drops. You know how to break a big dream in actionable phases. You go from reactive to intentional, from cluttered to spacious, from chaotic to clear. And that's why this episode, this department, comes first. Because without it, nothing can function well. So This super quick bite-sized episode is not a tutorial, right? I didn't walk you through the exact templates or dashboards or systems because this series over the next 6 episodes is about understanding why each department matters before we dive into how it works. But if you really are ready to see exactly how to build this inside of your business, and if you want the templates, the step-by-step Notion setup, and the full department in a box system, the link is in the episode description. You can get instant access and start putting real structure behind your growth. And next week, we're going to be moving into the second department, which is the operations and SOPs, or standard operating procedures, aka the backbone of consistency, delegation, and expansion. And trust me, that episode is going to change the way that you see your business. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for building this industry with me. I'm so excited to see you in the next episode. But until then, if you need anything, you just let me know.